Arsenal, have they just landed the deal for Marc Guehi? Liverpool got it agreed in the summer, but it didn't complete. City said to be negotiating, but a big report this afternoon states that he will or could end up at Arsenal. Plus, we look at Manchester United. Bruno Fernandes, is he about to quit for Saudi? Has he been pushed far enough by the Man United board, by the Manchester United circus? Could he be on his way out? All that to come. Like, share, and subscribe. Get it done now. Before you go any further, just hit the like button, hype the video up, put it in your group chats, get it shared. Let's do this. A few days ago, we saw the news from David Ornstein and The Athletic that Arsenal have joined Liverpool and Man City in the race for the Crystal Palace centre-back Marc Guehi, with the Gunners viewing a move as a summer option rather than an immediate deal. Interest in the England international continues to build as he edges closer to becoming a free agent. Now, we all saw this news, and I think fans of Arsenal, Chelsea, United, Liverpool, and City especially, we all want Marc Guehi. We all know how good a player he is. We all know how much our teams will improve with him at the centre of our defence. The reason why the Arsenal story intrigues me is because it's just instantly rejected by football fans. Doesn't make sense. No sense whatsoever. They've got Saliba, they've got Gabriel. Why would he go there? Why would he sign for them? Why would he want to be part of their club? And the reason this doesn't make sense, I kind of get when you say it and you just think about it in that really basic surface level way. Yeah, he's going to be on the bench. Doesn't make any sense until you look at the fact that, one, Arsenal are a team of a standard that are going to be playing between 55 and 60 games a season, every season for the next 3 to 4 to 5. Minimum. You include pre-season friendlies, you're looking at a team that could be pushing towards the mid-60, 70 games a season. And although pre-season matches are not as important, they are to the football clubs because they're big money earners now. So there's game time there. We also saw a point at Manchester City not too many years ago where they had John Stones, they had Ruben Diaz, they had Laporte, and maybe one of those three. Obviously, Laporte left, but they also started signing Ake, Akanji, Joseph Guardiol, if I'm not missing somebody else. And last summer, signed 2 young centre-backs. And although Laporte had gone by the time that had happened, this idea that Arsenal shouldn't be signing centre-backs is interesting. Ben White is probably going to be moved on. And I'm sorry, if it upsets Arsenal fans, it upsets Arsenal fans, but I think Ben White will get moved on. Personally, there's a chance he will. That's why Livramento is also being looked at. You look at the centre-back partnership. Yes, it's Saliba and Gabriel. Mosquera steps in when required. But Marc Guehi goes instantly above Mosquera. And Arsenal fans have come to this realization that the whole pathway conversation holds very little water. You just want to have the best team available. You've got Nketiah that has stepped into that area, but is predominantly being used at left back. There's calls from a lot of Arsenal fans after a not a great year at left back for Miles Lewis-Skelly for him to be developed back into his natural position, and that is of a central midfield player. So if that happens, there's less cover on the left back area, meaning Nketiah may be pushed out to that area more, freeing up another role in the middle. There is also a train of thought where Marc Guehi may look at this and say, I respect Gabriel, I respect Saliba, but I believe I can force my way into the team. At the same time, there's that word that begins with I that everybody can't ignore, which is injuries. And this season alone, Guehi would have been presented with a lot of game time and a lot of opportunities to stake a claim to be the main centre-back at Arsenal. And then there is my hot take on this as well. Maybe Arsenal believe that a Gabriel or Saliba in the next 6 to 12 to 18 months may ask to leave. And therefore they have an amazing replacement already at the club. So there's no real drop-off. This idea that Arsenal can't get him, I think is basic. And I think is absolutely ridiculous. And I say that, and what I said at the top of the video was an interesting report from Sky So we've seen the news stories, we've already mentioned that Arsenal are in for him. But what Sky are reporting is that, this is from Kavler there, it says, I've got a funny feeling Marc Guehi might end up at Arsenal. And I think that's what's really interesting. And I want to pose this question to you. As per the title of the video, do you think Arsenal have or will pull this off? Do you think Arsenal have already convinced the player? Or do you see him going elsewhere? It's absolutely fine if you do. We're just having a conversation with football fans talking. I'd love to know. I'd love to ascertain your opinion on this, because for me, it's interesting that since that Carabao Cup game, Arsenal weren't even really in the conversation. And ever since then, fan theory has grown. And now we have the mainstream media reporting on it. And I want to get your views and I want to get your opinions in that comment section below right now. Have Arsenal pulled off the Marc Guehi deal? If they have, for me, it really, really is a game changer. Manchester United want to get their new manager in charge by Wednesday in order to prepare fully for the visit of Manchester City to Old Trafford at Saturday lunchtime. And that game will be here before we know it. That game will be here very, very soon. And Manchester United need to win. There is, forget all the issues for a moment. Man United have absolutely got to win that game. There is no doubt about it whatsoever. We must win. We're already feeling the pain. We're already feeling in the trouble. We've gone out of all the cup competitions. These players must win that game and keep hope of European qualification alive. They must step up. They must deliver. The new manager has to come in. Yes, it's going to be on an interim basis, but the players have been given Monday and Tuesday off. So it not being announced today is not the end of the world, although I would like it to be, but they're set to come in. But even more importantly, we've got to try to get some stability back at the club, because a big report has come out today that Man United players are said to fear that Bruno Fernandes has reached the end of his patience at Old Trafford and could leave the club this summer. There have been other reports that it could be this January. Bruno Fernandes may ask to leave now if he's not happy over the next couple of weeks. The report says the 31-year-old previously turned down a £100 million move to El Hilal after being convinced to stay by the former coach Ruben Amorim. Fernandes has since insisted he will decide his future after the 2026 World Cup. So he may, stay until towards the end of the season, but he could make that his mind up soon if we delay this decision anymore. If it's a bad decision, he's going to have no faith in the next managerial appointment. And to be honest with you, I'll get called out for what I'm about to say, because people lack nuance. But it's ironic, really, that he stayed because Ruben convinced him to. The board were happy for him to move on. This is where I don't like Ineos. I've lost faith in them. I stand by everything I said yesterday. I was wrong to ever put faith in them. That's how I feel right now. As of the 12th of January, 2026, that's how I feel today. And it's going to take a lot for me to change my mind. But that being said, in the summer, the club looked at it and said, look, you don't want to use Bruno in a 10. You want to use him in a deeper role. Bruno isn't suited to that role. He'll still create, but there'll be defensive holes. We want to bring you somebody else in. He said, no, keep Bruno for me. So we kept Bruno for him. Because, by the way, I think he plays Bruno in that position over everybody else. The midfield has been leaky all year. Now Bruno is thinking of leaving, although we're going back to a shape most likely where we get the best out of him in his strongest position. It's a mess. And I understand why Bruno Fernandes is frustrated. I understand why he called the club out and said the club wanted me to go. But most real Man United fans agreed to the extent of, and this is where it's like, even though I don't like Ineos, I won't just side against them for the sake of it. I'll give an honest opinion. If you're not going to use Bruno in his best position, you are better off taking £100 million for him and investing that in a different player or two players. If you're going to keep Bruno Fernandes, it's got to be in his best position. But are we going to do that? Nobody knows. I am not surprised to read this story. I am not surprised that players like Bruno Fernandes, there's a fear that he's just had enough, because I would. Bruno Fernandes is too good, too consistent, too good a leader, too good a player to stay here. And as much as that pains me to say it, I had this conversation 5 years ago about the likes of Marcus Rashford. Don't stay too long if we ain't getting better. Your career is short. You know me well enough if you've watched this channel that I don't get annoyed at players that force moves out of football clubs because I don't think players should be any more loyal than the clubs are to them when the clubs have had enough. If the club doesn't think a player is good enough or if a club wants to move on, they kick them out pretty quickly. So I've got no issues with players doing it either. I just don't do the hypocrisy situation there. And I'm not surprised. And I don't blame Bruno Fernandes. I don't blame him one little bit for wanting to leave. But as ever, look, I want to get your opinions on this. Where do you think he's going to end up? What do you think is going to happen? Let us know in that comment section below. Take care. Goodbye. God bless. And I'll see you in a bit. Peace.